When it comes to puzzle adventure games, they generally fall into one of two camps. Either it's a full-blown adventure like Red Matter or Separation, where you feel like you're out on an epic narrative journey and the puzzles feel somewhat organic, like they belong in the environment. Or the other camp, where you just walk from room to room without much context and you're presented with one opaque puzzle after another, much like D-Magnet or Static. One isn't inherently better than the other, but if you're going to sacrifice story or environments in favor of puzzle after puzzle, those puzzles had better be something special. PSVR's newest game, Gravitational, falls squarely into the latter camp. And no, unfortunately, the puzzles aren't something special, and even worse, that doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of Gravitational's problems. But that's not to say developer Electric Monkey didn't try their hardest to make sure we were playing something we'd never played before, and in some regards they succeeded. As Sebastian, a disabled scientist confined to a wheelchair, you're immediately dealing with a different type of locomotion system. It's cool that they let you grab the wheels manually to move yourself around, but it's not cool that within seconds, you'll give up on that prospect, because getting anywhere this way takes way too long, and if you've ever been in a real wheelchair before, well, you'll know that this just doesn't feel right. Luckily, as a much better alternative, you can bring up a virtual remote. You have to twist your controller left and right to turn, and it's okay, I guess. But there are way more problems with the movement here than a weird control scheme. Your wheels will frequently get caught up on walls or debris, making traversal more of a chore than it should be, which is fine if you're making Wheelchair Simulator VR, but not fine if you're making a fun video game. Add in some mandatory blinders and a stuttering frame rate every time you move, and you'll immediately lose any and all desire to go off and explore the corners of each room for collectibles. Let me save you some time. There aren't any. Okay, locomotion sucks, but what about the puzzles? Well, for most of the 2 hours it'll take to complete Gravitational, you'll move from room to room solving pretty basic block puzzles. There's a grand total of 4 different types of blocks. You'll pick them up and rotate them with your handheld telekinesis device in order to make paths for your wheelchair to roll over and reach the exit. I will say that 1 or 2 of these puzzles stopped me in my tracks for, a second or two, and made me rethink my strategy, but at no point did I feel stuck or frustrated. The last quarter or third of Gravitational, though, introduces a new puzzle type where you allocate energy around the circuit board in order to unlock doors. It's pretty simple once you get the hang of it, but there's no proper introduction to these puzzles, and it's shockingly easy to misunderstand how they work and get stuck on the very first one. The only other thing worth noting here are the anti-gravitational segments, where you'll have to shove yourself from place to place in 0G. This, I guess, can feel good when done successfully, but if you miss your target, you'll be stuck with no way to proceed, other than to restart the section, or turn off the anti-grav switch and kill yourself, because you fell from more than 8 feet. And if you've been paying attention, and likely even if you haven't, there's a gigantic big red icon that pops up on the screen almost every time you move your head, whether you're in view of the camera or not. It's like the VR grid from Hitman or Song in the Smoke, with just no way to turn it off. And if you think it's distracting on screen during this review, just imagine how immersion breaking it is when you've got the headset on. Maybe I'm alone here, but when I play puzzle games, my reward for finishing each puzzle is getting to see new environments or unveiling a new piece of the overarching story. Something that feels like progress. And in this way, Gravitational was a constant disappointment from beginning to end. Not only do all 15 stages of the laboratory look virtually identical, but entire rooms are reused over and over and over. All the while, you've got a conversation happening between Sebastian and I think his lab assistant, Isabel. I say I think because the voice acting here is so flat and awkward that I can't believe I didn't turn off the sound completely 15 minutes in and turn on some music to drown it all out. And now that I've finished the game, I can tell you that the story is just a total waste of time. So if you do play this one, you won't be missing out on anything if you choose to do that.
A fan? You were always pestering me.
And yet you followed me here, didn't you? Admit it. Calling you Sebi was genius.
I don't know. Gravitational had so much potential with its use of anti-gravitational areas and a main character that's totally underrepresented in gaming. But despite all efforts, it ultimately falls flat in pretty much every single area imaginable. Maybe it'll be okay if it's the very first puzzle game you've ever played, but even then you'd better have a stomach of steel and the patience of a saint to overcome its downfalls.